Okay, in this video, I'm going to read through the macromolecules reading that we started with in semester 2. This is called Macromolecules, the building blocks of the cell. If you struggle with reading yourself and feel like it would be helpful to have somebody narrate through this, feel free to listen. All right, I will try to take some notes along the way and annotate as we go through this. So, without further ado, macromolecules, the building blocks of the cell. Inside a cell, various parts work together with specific macromolecules to keep the cell alive and functioning properly. There are 4 major macromolecules, and each plays an important role in cell functioning. We're going to go through those 4 below here. Cell membrane and lipids. The cell membrane is a protective barrier, underline protective here, that surrounds the cell. The cell membrane mostly consists of a type of lipid or fat called a phospholipid, and you see one of those right here. Okay. Phospholipids are made of fatty acid monomers. Hopefully you remember the word monomer or subunit or building block from first semester. And these form a double layer with their hydrophilic or water-loving heads facing outward towards the water and their hydrophobic or water-fearing tails facing inward, away from the water. This structure makes the membrane flexible and allows it to control what enters and leaves the cell. All right, so we have the first question here. I'm not going to answer these for you, but it is, what is the function of the cell membrane? Another way to say this is, how does the cell membrane work? What kind of job does it do? Okay. So in this passage, we saw that the cell membrane is made up of a bunch of these phospholipids, and they are all kind of crammed in together. They form a double layer, and that forms the membrane. All right, question number 2. What do lipids have to do with cell membranes? Well, that answer is also in this paragraph, so see if you can answer that. And finally, what is the difference between hydrophobic and hydrophilic? Okay, hydro means water. Sometimes we talk about phobias, right? Things that we're afraid of. And philic often means to like, right? Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. So what is the difference between hydrophobic and hydrophilic? All right, next paragraph here is about lysosomes and enzymes. Proteins are made from long chains of amino acids. I'm going to circle this because monomers in the building blocks are very important. And these proteins serve very important roles in cell function. Enzymes are one vital type of protein. Look, it came up in the title. This is probably a central theme here. Your cells contain lysosomes, which are organelles that serve as the cell's recycling centers. Let's underline this one too, because that came up in the title here. These lysosomes contain enzymes that break down waste materials and old cell parts. Enzymes are proteins that help speed up chemical reactions. Reactions that can either break apart molecules or bind molecules together. In the lysosome, these enzymes help break down waste products into smaller pieces that the cell can reuse. This recycling process helps the cell stay clean and efficient. Okay, so it's kind of a recycling organelle. All right, question number 4. What are proteins made of? Okay, we underlined this above. What are the building blocks of proteins? Okay, what do you string together to make those? And number 5, what do enzymes do? See if you can find some answers in that paragraph up above. And number 6, what do enzymes have to do with lysosomes? Okay. So here we want to see you put the relationship together, or how are enzymes related to lysosomes? See if you can put that together in a sentence there. What is the relationship between those two terms? All right, the next macromolecule are nucleic acids. Okay, and how does this relate to the cell? Well, they are found in the nucleus. So nucleus and nucleic acids. The nucleus is the control center of the cell. It contains only 2 nucleic acids. This is a different thing, right? DNA and RNA, both of which are long chains of nucleotides. Okay, nucleotides are going to be that monomer again. DNA holds the genetic blueprint for the cell, providing instructions on how to make proteins and how the cell should function. RNA acts as a messenger. Okay. I'm going to go back here and underline genetic blueprint for the cell. Okay, RNA acts as a messenger carrying instructions from the DNA to the ribosomes where proteins are made. It seems like an important word because that's where proteins are made. The nucleus protects these nucleic acids and helps control when and how the genetic information is used. Okay, all right, so question number 7. What is the function of the nucleus? Well, that was in that last sentence there. See if you can jot something down there. And number 8, how many nucleic acids are there? Number 9, what is the function of DNA? This was also in the paragraph above. Number 10, and what is the function of RNA in the cell? Okay, what do all of these things do? These 2 nucleic acids function in 2 different ways. Where are they made? What are they made of? And what do they do for our cells? All right, last one. Mitochondria and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, or sugars, are made of smaller sugars. So this is actually the monomer, right? The building blocks of sugars are smaller sugars, such as glucose and fructose. In the mitochondria, known as the powerhouse of the cell, seems important, energy is produced from carbohydrates through the process of cellular respiration. Probably heard that before, so let's underline it again. In which glucose and oxygen combine to create carbon dioxide and water. This process produces ATP, the cell's main energy source, which is used for various activities like moving, dividing, and transporting materials in and out of the cell. Okay. Question number 11. What are some examples of carbohydrates? There are some listed in the paragraph above. See if you can identify those. Number 12, what is the function of the mitochondria? What kind of work does the mitochondria do? Number 13, what do carbohydrates have to do with the mitochondria? Okay, some super important questions here. These definitely need to be part of your understanding of this unit. So see if you can extract that information from the paragraph. I'm going to move on and read some of these conclusions here. Oops, too far. In conclusion, each part of the cell has a special relationship with certain macromolecules that help it perform its job. The cell membrane works with lipids to protect the cell and control what goes in and out. Remember, the lipids were in the membrane. Lysosomes use enzymes to recycle waste. The nucleus uses nucleic acids to store and use genetic information. Mitochondria work with carbohydrates to produce energy. Understanding these connections helps us appreciate how cells function and stay healthy. Okay, good. So this is actually something that we recycled from Unit 1, or our Outcome 1, back in first semester. We want you to complete the chart here by putting the name of the macromolecule and its subunits, or the monomers. What are the building blocks used to make that macromolecule? Hopefully this is mostly review. And what does that macromolecule do in the cell? What kind of function does it serve? What kind of work does it do? Okay, I think that's it. There you have it.